You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, February 13th show. Valentine's Day weekend. Make sure you do something special for your special one. Bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events in our local economy and how they can affect your money. That's what the show's about. If you're listening to my show or hearing it at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. But I am here to answer any questions that you have and to also connect you with my guest, 1-855-400-1150. Again, the show number is 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, Vincent Humphrey with Humphrey Associates, sharing how to find a good attorney and how to be prepared for that meeting. Vincent, thank you so much for coming back in studio and being my representation on everything law.
So glad to be here. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there as well. But again, it's always a pleasure to sit in the chair and answer questions that you may have.
Thanks, Vincent. And a little bit of a background about Vincent. Vincent is attorney at Humphrey Associates PLLC, which focuses on family law, real estate, and civil litigation. His passion is in bringing justice and clarity for everyone, working man and woman. Vincent was just awarded Outstanding Young Lawyer of the Year. He is a little bit younger than me, not by much, just a little, by the Washington State Bar Association for 2015. He is the only one out of over 8,000 possible attorneys to gain this honor. Vincent holds a Juris Doctorate degree for University of Idaho College and Law and Bachelor of Science and Political Science for University of Washington. He has over 15 years of mediation and negotiating training with he has gained through intensive classes and on-the-job situations. Vincent has advised companies and overseen transactions over 100 million. Furthermore, his skilled set has allowed him to cancel many companies ranging from tech companies to law firms. And I'm excited for our conversation here, Vincent. I started out the show with over 24,000 attorneys in Washington State. How do you select the one that is best for you? And that's a great topic for conversation today. So where should a person even start when it comes to finding an attorney?
Great question. I think one of the things that has to be identified when you start off is just what is your legal issue, right? You can waste a lot of time when you go to an attorney's office or searching online if you don't know or if you're unable to articulate what the heck is going on. So really starting there, understanding I have an issue. Is it a legal issue? What is it exactly? Because again, meeting with an attorney, him or her or the organization trying to figure that out on your behalf is just a lot of wasted time. And so in order to, I guess, kind of go from there, talk with other friends. Maybe you have a friend, maybe you've got a coworker or somebody else that is experiencing something similar to what you are. So start there. If you can't quite put your hand on it, but something feels wrong or it's not going, or maybe it's not even wrong. You want to start a business or you're trying to do something proactively. Ask somebody else that's gone through that process because they may be aware of questions that you haven't even thought about. And then just going out there and reaching out to an attorney saying, hey, I've got something, not quite sure what it is. That's just a big waste of time.
So you talked about questions in preparing for that initial consultation that you're having with an attorney. Are there a list of questions that you should prepare ahead of time?
I would say that obviously every situation is a little bit different, but going in there with things that are important to you, communication style, how is the fee structured, how would we communicate going forward, some background information as it relates to your situation, having those things, I say it's always best to have that written down because when you're sitting down in a legal consultation, or even just a professional consultation, regardless of the industry, there's a lot that's said. There's a lot of information that's shared. There's a lot of things that are going on. And I've had many people that have met with me or others at the firm. And when they leave, they have that aha moment that, I wish I would have asked this, right? And then maybe you have to reschedule. So thinking through that ahead of time, talking with your friends, family members, or coworkers, and asking them, saying, hey, I'm meeting with an attorney. What do you think I might be missing? And then having that prepared ahead of time so that way you can make sure when you leave, all the things that are on your mind have been
Yes.
addressed.
And I'm going to talk about costs later, so I don't want to go there right now. But with an attorney, you definitely want to be prepared. So have those questions, because
Yes.
if you're not, and you've got to have those extra meetings, it's going to cost more money. Now, what should my listeners know before beginning the process of working with an attorney, Vincent?
Yeah, and two things come to mind with that. One, you need to understand your outcome. You may have a legal issue, but the outcome, does it make sense for you? If it's, a legal situation that is really not that important to you and you're just kind of kicking the tires around that, well, do you really want to go through maybe the litigation process? Are you looking to negotiate something out? What is your outcome? I mean, you'd be surprised how many people that I meet with that don't know what they really want through it all. When you're
okay.
meeting with an attorney in whatever their field is, I mean, we do a lot of family law, we do some real estate and some civil litigation, but I ask that question, what is it that you're hoping to get through this process? Some have answers and some say, well, aren't you the one to do that for me? And yes, I can walk through the legal process, but I don't know, are you trying to settle this out? Are you trying to go all the way through litigation? What is it that you want? So having
that
outcomes,
ultimate plan or that ultimate goal.
yes, and then looking at it, taking a step back, saying, does legal action make sense to you? Maybe it's a bad time. Maybe there was a death in the family, or your children are getting ready to graduate, and it's maybe not the best time right now to start this action. And so I usually ask that as well. What's your timeline? Is this something that you want to do right now? Is this a 3-month conversation and you just want some good information? Where are you at? So understanding your outcomes and the timing on that. Otherwise, you could, again, be wasting time and obviously your money. We're here to try to save you that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Are there different roles that an attorney can take throughout the duration of their representation?
Yes. There are a few different hats that attorneys play. When you hear attorney, you might think just courtrooms, or you might think it's just paper pushing, but there is obviously litigation, right? Going to court, right? You see that on TV all the time, but there's also the role of advisor, right? Maybe you just don't know what your options are, how to protect yourself. So in that situation, maybe you just need advice. Evaluator, maybe you've been served with legal papers, or somebody is kicking an idea your way and you need somebody to interpret that. What does this actually say? You go to an attorney to just evaluate, what is this situation? And then negotiator, saying, hey, I've kind of started this process, or I'm thinking about starting it. I need help because I don't know all of my rights. What are all of my options? Can you negotiate this on my behalf? So a really good attorney, again, the topic of this segment, can understand all of those different roles and can navigate through them.
Makes sense. And to help the client understand what role that they're going to play in whatever legal situation they're dealing with.
Yes.
So what are a few things that an attorney may require from their client throughout the process of representing them?
Yeah. One of the things that comes up a lot with myself, as well as some of my colleagues, is the diligence aspect. When you come to an attorney, there are certain things that you're requiring of an attorney such as myself, but we're also requiring certain things from you. We're working with strict deadlines and time frames that things need to be done. If it's in the court situation, they have their rules. If it's responding to the other side, there's timelines and regulations that dictate that. So there's responding to emails, right? Our phone calls, other things that we're asking for. So just the diligence piece in regards to the communication. And again, another quick tip at the beginning is have that set up front. If you communicate via email, or you like to be on the phone, you want to find an attorney that is receptive to what works best for you.
Makes sense.
Because if you're in a situation and you want to talk via email and your attorney is insisting on sending letters through the mail, you're going to be in a world of hurt going forward. And it just takes a long time.
So making sure that they communicate and they're accessible based on what you need.
Yes.
So let's talk about money, because I know that attorneys have a lot of fees. And are there different ways attorneys are charging? And, on the hour, or every 15 minutes? Is there a minimum? I mean, let's get it out there.
All right. So when it comes to that, there's all sorts of different ways that attorneys are paid. One is contingent, right? You see that a lot in the personal injury world, where you hear
contingent's good,
right?
I like the contingent.
We get paid if you get paid. And then there's flat fees to say, your situation, we're going to do everything that needs to be done for this amount of money. Right?
I like
And
the
that's
flat
just
fee next.
flat fee, right?
Yeah,
that
okay.
way there's nothing's jumping out of the
questions.
closet.
And they can call you as much as they want with a flat fee.
In those situations,
Okay,
it's
all right.
upfront. All right.
Okay.
And so you have to realize that because of that, the attorney is factoring in the time it's going to take, their
Got
level
it.
of experience and all that. But the good thing for the consumer or the client is that you know upfront what that is going to be. Then there's hourly, right? A lot of,
Yeah.
I would say that's more the traditional method. What's your hourly rate? How much
Yep.
do you charge an hour, which gets into the retainer? And retainer, all that is saying is we, at our hourly rate, we want to have a certain amount of hours up front so
Got
that we
it.
can just get to work and do
Yep.
our job. And once it gets to a certain point, we're going to ask you to put more in. And so
Okay.
when you've got litigation and things that really the attorney can't control,
Yep.
I might be able to work with you and know how much work I'm doing, but there's always the other side.
Yes.
How much are they going to do? How much are they wanting to push this? So that being said, that's where a retainer comes in. And there's also this hybrid model that a lot of people are unaware of, and that's called unbundling or limited scope services that says,
Okay.
all right, maybe in the divorce context, I just want help me through this one hearing. How much for just this one area? And in that
Okay.
situation, you have an attorney, but for a very defined specific role. So versus taking on the whole thing, you might want to ask your attorney, hey, it might not make sense to have you for the whole thing, but I've got a mediation scheduled, or I have a settlement conference, or I need help with just this one area.
Got it.
Is that something that you do? Some attorneys do that. Our firm offers kind of a range through all of that. Others don't. But being able to approach that with that knowledge, that can save you a ton of money.
Yes, I imagine so. So what about in the short period of time that we have here, Vincent, what to expect from the legal process?
Just a few things. There's a lot that I could say, but boiling it down to, it's a process, right? Just even in that question, it's a process. It's going to take time. And you should also be aware of the emotions that go through that. A lot of times
Sure.
people think just the money side, but to say, even if that was controlled or that wasn't your upfront issue, realizing that it's going to be kind of a roller coaster ride, and you might not get everything that you want. You may
Yep.
get some, you might get none of that, but realizing that when you have a good attorney, they're going to be able to navigate their fees, that wave of emotions, and be your advocate through
Yeah.
the whole thing.
So Vincent, a minute before I got to take us to commercial, just a shout out to the listeners on your best advice and tip to leave them with today.
Don't cut corners. If you are thinking, man, I think I can handle this on my own, I have had that situation come up so many times. It is so
Yeah.
much better to pay the money to have the consultation than to break that arm and have an attorney have to come in and re-break it, reset it.
Yeah. Boy, that does sound
Don't
pretty
cut corners.
painful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vincent. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. I appreciate your expertise and wisdom in the legal arena.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up next on the Money Hour, do you have a real estate business or thinking of starting a career in real estate? If you do, what should be doing to have a thriving business? Keoki McCarthy, president and acting broker of Real Living Northwest, right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.